be working. Okay, I'll set up the thingy. Can you check whether it's coming through?
Yeah. Keep this thing here, maybe to be helpful for the project. Do you need a small stand for the projector, or what do you need?
Some stand.
A chair will do, or
let me get that trolley kind of thing.
it is working.
Okay.
Hello, sorry ma.
Good.
Thank you.
Next week,
Next week, I got confused.
So next week they said in the New Year we should.
Next week,
No.
check.
Right.
Do you want me to hold it?
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, hold it. Yeah.
This stick is automatically sticks there. Yeah. It's like the two things will come off. It's a static one, so it's supposed to stick on to. Yeah, that's right. Another one.
Running late. I've got this watch.
Yeah, I can measure it 783.
Next time I'm going to try and bring a clicker for this slide and move the glass under.
He sent you a message.
He didn't.
It's a selfie.
I asked him. He just got, I told them to keep the mic because we do live streams when you're listening. Without the mic, it becomes difficult to capture.
7 feet by 3 feet.
Kasara?
Yeah, 6 by 3 also. So far.
Are you going to move back?
1.2, almost 1 meter.
7 is, yeah, that's right. 7 is 120. 90, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah.
Mike's working. Yeah.
I don't know. It compressed. Chairs are compressed.
कोई नहीं टायर्ड लग रही है आप वहाँ
कमांड क्लास के लिए मेकअप के बिना बना गया
अभी मैं सोच रही थी बोलेगी मैं अभी जाके एक्चुअली मुझे जाना है तो अभी करूँगी तो तुम्हें जगह हो जाएगी इसके
Oh, this is something else.
ये लेके आइए
पोर्ट कर रखते हैं कस्टमर को पोर्ट ऑर्डर कर रखते हैं कस्टमर
keep it on the side?
नहीं कभी कभी ठंडी लगती है
You are available.
सामने ये आपने बनाया है?
नहीं पहले नहीं टेबल के नहीं।
खुला लग रहा है।
हाँ।
ऐसे था ना वो वहाँ पे वो पूजा किया था ऐसे ही
could see this coming.
Start with a budget, and by the time the slides will come, so we can actually start with the standard. Should be easier. Start with 3 ohms and Sahana.
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि।
Small bhajan and then we'll start.
हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो।
हरि 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 स्मरण करो।
हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरहर गिरधारी भजन करो। मुरहर गिरधारी भजन करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि चरण कमल ध्यान करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। हरि 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 स्मरण करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरली माधव सेवा करो। मुरहर गिरधारी भजन करो। मुरहर गिरधारी भजन करो। हरि स्मरण करो। हरि स्मरण करो। हरि स्मरण करो। हरि स्मरण करो। हरि 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 भजन करो। हरि 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 भजन करो।
Is the slide visible? Do you need it to be up?
Perfect.
Perfect.
So quick recap. We are now in the Ayodhya Kandam section of Valmiki Ramayana, and we saw last week, and what we have seen so far is Rama has made up his mind that he wants to go to the forest. He will follow his father's orders. He wants to make sure that his father is not considered an untruth person, and for him that is more important than ruling the kingdom. We also saw last week how different people, he tried to first of all convince Sita about not coming to the forest, and unfortunately that did not work. And my takeaway from that for all the husbands here, when you lose an argument to your wife, don't be disheartened. Rama is on our side. Even he could not win. So I think we should also take some comfort from that. But on a more serious note, I think finally Sita and Lakshmana both told him that we will be accompanying you to the forest. And all three of them, then they proceed to King Dasharatha's palace. And in front of all the other queens and all the ministers, we saw how Kaikeyi had made arrangements for the tree bar. And then finally, I think Vasishta and others intervened that at least Sita should be allowed to go without tree bar. So she should be allowed to go with her regular silks and other clothes. And we concluded at that time with the three of them leaving towards the forest. Now there were a couple of things in that bit before they actually start to proceed to the forest. Rama asks Lakshmana also to take the leave of his mother. Rama had gone and taken Kaushalya's leave, but Lakshmana had not gotten a chance to take Sumitra's leave. So Lakshmana goes to Sumitra, and you may remember in one of the previous classes Shankar had mentioned that the three queens to some extent denote the three gunas. He had said Kaikeyi, she represents tamas, and Kaushalya represents rajas. Then Sumitra to some extent represents sattva. Obviously these are it's not a hard-coded thing because we all have a mixture of all three, but predominance you could say. So it's not, so Kaushalya is not a bad person, but when you do something you have a desire for the result, that makes it rajas. It's not that you do bad things. Sumitra on the other hand was considered spiritually much more evolved, much more equanimous in her dealings, even though she was also going through all the grief. When Lakshmana approaches her, Sumitra's message to Lakshmana is very beautiful. She says, don't waste time sitting. She is also choking, she is also in tears. But her message to Lakshmana is, you were born to be in the forest and serve Rama. Okay? So from here on, don't waste a minute. You should consider Rama as your father, Dasharatha. Sita should be in my place, she is your mother. And the forest is your Ayodhya. So I have given birth to two sons, one who will do Bhagavat Seva and the other who will do Bhagavat Seva, as we said the other day. Shatrughna is a devotee of Bharata and he will serve him. So he said, I have given birth to two sons, neither of whom are going to have any big heroic claims or titles or gold medals. Both of you are going to serve. So from here on, you should have no fear or concern or anything for us, because your Ayodhya is now Aranya, the forest, and your father and mother are Rama and Sita. With that, Sumitra, in spite of whatever grief she is going through, and she's almost in a way collateral damage. She was nowhere, her children did not have to be affected by any of this. Father has made a promise to one of the wives. She wanted some other son to go. So technically she could have taken a view here to say, yes, it is very sad, but it's not a problem for me personally, right? However much we say. But in spite of that, she has taken the view that you go and serve, and this is not even a question or an order or request, don't waste any time. So she is sensible there. Now, while they are going in the chariot, as you can imagine, it's not an easy thing. Rama has made up his mind, he's very firm, it's not an echo?
Keep it at a distance, that's fine.
Keep it at a distance, okay. If it becomes too much, I can shorten it. So while Rama is going, the crowds are clamoring, they are not letting the chariot move fast enough. Behind, the king is wailing, the queens are wailing. It is a very, very terrible sight. On one hand, the king is shouting from there, saying, Sumitra, stop, don't go. The people, and Rama is trying to tell them now, this is we have already had this discussion enough time, but as you can imagine, it's a highly emotional moment for all of those people. And there comes a stage in the, as that chariot is proceeding, that the king is shouting from behind, Sumitra, slow down, stop the chariot. And Rama is telling Sumitra, hurry up, he's seeing behind, he can see they're all wailing. And then he actually says, Sumitra, I think I can understand that you might feel a little bit torn because your orders should come from the king and the king is asking you to stop. It's alright, you go fast. If the king comes and asks, why did you not listen to my orders and stop? Just tell him there was too much noise and I could not hear your orders in that. So what might seem like, sometimes like a lie, but Rama figured that in this point there is no need, you have to understand that any further slowing this down is only prolonging the grief. Once the decision has been taken, once we have made up our mind, it's time to now leave. So that's how they proceed. Now we will see towards later in the class if time permits what happens as they are proceeding, because the citizens of Ayodhya are also following them. But I wanted to go back and, like we were saying, this story of Ramayana, while there is a story element to it, there are lots of life lessons in how Rama approaches different situations and different characters approach, and I think there is something we can all learn from it. So I wanted to pick on a couple of things for today's class.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about dharma. So in this decision, as Rama is taking this whole decision and he is trying to explain to Kaushalya, he's trying to explain to Sita, to Lakshmana, he constantly uses dharma as the framework. You want me to sit down? Is that easy?
If it's easier, yeah.
He constantly uses dharma as the framework, and there are a few verses that will just, I'm not going to read all of them, but there are some that are helpful for us to know. He tells, Dharmo hi paramo loke dharme satyam pratishthitham. So you can see the meaning. He says, dharma is the ultimate goal in this world. Right? That is Rama's words when he is trying to decide. And he says, even truth has we often think of dharma as being righteousness, truth. Gurudev was saying that while the word dharma is very simple, dharma and ma, there are only two parts to this. If you read any Sanskrit, proper authentic Sanskrit dictionary, on the word of dharma, there will usually be 3 columns in every page times 3 to 4 pages, 9 odd columns full of different meanings of dharma, and in the end it will say something like etc, 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 to say that we cannot possibly cover all the meanings of dharma in the dictionary. Because it is a word that has many different meanings. So we're going to just touch upon and see what does Rama mean when he says dharma is the ultimate goal in this world and even truth finds its basis. He also says, he talks about other things, he says dharma artha kama khalu tata loke samikshita dharma phalo dayeshu. So again, if he says, I have no doubt that when you follow dharma, you will get the other 3 purusharthas. And we'll see what are these purusharthas in a while. So these are all different things he's trying to explain, especially to Lakshmana. When Lakshmana says that, we can fight, we can get the right, you're the rightful heir, I can go and if anybody comes, I'll bring them. All those things he says. These are the different arguments Rama uses. One, he says, it is the ultimate goal. Then he says, in these 4, and we will touch upon these, because all these 4 are goals. If there is a trade-off or conflict, then dharma should be followed, because that will give the other 3 purusharthas. Okay. He also then goes to add, he says, when you face a situation where all 3 do not align, right? In an ideal situation all align, but if they do not align, then one must begin with whatever leads to dharma in the end. Okay. Because those who focus on artha or kama, and we'll look at the meanings, will find themselves being abominable in this world, leading really vulgar lives and gain no respect. So these are a few, and then the final one. He tells, this is when he tells, I think this is maybe to Kaushalya herself. He says, I cannot put my renown, which is of more significance. Right? He says, Kevala Rajya Karana. He says, because he says, oh Devi, this life is too short, and in this short life, if I have to decide between ruling a kingdom and seeking dharma, it is like it's a non-issue. It is not even a point to decide or consider. It is a no-brainer. So there are many. I think across the Ramayana, maybe the word dharma comes hundreds of times, but these are just a few points that Rama makes in his argument for why he has chosen, and then finally he says, I have therefore decided that I have made up my mind and we are going to go there. So we saw these 4 Purusharthas, and one of the beauty of Sanatan Dharma is okay,
It's fine. It's fine. I hear that some kind of a train. It's fine. I'll just try something there.
I think we can leave it for today. Maybe we can check it. There's some like a
Vibration.
like a heartbeat sound. I thought it was mine. But then I heard so I'm like very tense. No, maybe not.
Yes. Okay. I thought the eater.
That was running very fast.
Okay. So
You don't want Krishna to lose heart in between.
yeah, absolutely. So start it again. I think it needs you to be close. Okay. So if you think about in Sanatan Dharma, one of the things our rishis have done beautifully is they've taken, like, we're all chasing different things, we all have different goals in life. The beauty is they've kind of really tried and categorized it into categories that make it very intuitive and simple. So if we ask ourselves, why do we do anything? Or why do we avoid doing anything? Simple things. Or what is the one goal for all of our actions? What would that be? I mean, is there ultimately, is there 20 questions? You keep asking, why? What does it all boil down to? I'm going on a holiday, or I'm avoiding meeting a person.
Happiness?
We want to kind of get happiness, right? So we're saying whether it is seeking some company, going to a place, enjoying certain objects, or moving away from some people or some situations, all of that, in a way, our mind and software is programmed that anything that makes me happy, I want it. Anything that gives me sorrow, sadness, I want to stay away from it, right? So they observed and that they said that's not just for human beings. It is there for even an ant will go towards sugar. It will stay away from something. An animal will stay away from danger. So they broadly categorized this and they said there are 2 very strong impulses that are almost rooted in the mind. One is this one in the middle called artha, which sometimes is defined as wealth. But artha literally means security. Anything that I feel will give me security, I want it. And we all want security. Today we're talking about emotional security, psychological. But even starting with very basic, I need a house. Fine. I don't want to be out there, right? I want to have a visa so I can stay in a country and not be in a jail. I need wealth so that it will give me financial security. Maybe I need children because I feel they'll give me psychological security. I need a spouse, right? Because I feel they'll give me emotional security. I need a job, not just for the money, because it is sometimes even even if I have all the money, some people still go for a job because they feel, I'll get some respect, I'll meet people in whatever shape. Maybe we seek company, right? All of this in a way broadly comes under artha. It's almost even health, physical. I need there's no point in having tons of money if I cannot physically do stuff. So I take care of things for my health. So in a way, broadly, all of that comes under the capability to enjoy, broadly, right? So only if I'm secure will I be able to enjoy. You could put all the beautiful, tasty dishes in front of me, but if I've got a stomach problem, none of those dishes are helpful. So even that ability to enjoy is in its broadest sense, that's artha. And then kama, we think of this as, kama very much is thought of as pleasure and fun, but in its broadest sense, it's comfort. So I am seeking comfort. There's nothing wrong in having a comfortable car, a comfortable house. So they figured that those 2 are across all living beings. Even a plant will want, if you find water, it will, it will turn its direction of growing towards the sun. Because for the plant, that is its form of security, survival instinct, survival of the fittest, all of them, you see. But here, of course, the focus is more human beings. And they figured these 2 are almost primal instincts, and almost 80, 90, 95% of what people do is revolving around artha and kama. Right? I'm doing this so I will feel secure, or I want to buy, now Bitcoin, I'm interested. I was not interested 5 years ago, but now I see Bitcoin going up. I want Bitcoin because artha, it will help me enjoy kama, right? And I want artha so I can enjoy kama, and vice versa. That's the model we kind of do. So then they said, okay, but frankly, if today I am in a position that I am able to live in a country where there is, say, no war. I can drive in a place where I don't have to worry about physical safety. I have the financial ability that I don't have to work somewhere. I can come here and do what I want. I have the health that allows me to enjoy what I'm able to do. I have a family that, so all of these things if I have, why is it that some have it and some don't have it? Either it is toss of coin or some god sitting there and deciding, saying today it's your turn or nothing. But they said no, there is no such thing. That is why you need dharma. Because ultimately dharma is the raw material for you to get artha kama. And we'll see a bit more of that later. Because when I do righteous things, I will get, because I have to do actions to get over this. So I can get artha and kama without dharma also, but that will have a different impact on my life. Short term, long term, it will have different impact. So they figured dharma was needed so that you need artha. Even if I may not think I want it, if you want, and we'll see the definition there. And then moksha will keep it aside for now. Not everybody wants it. Again, less than 1% of the people actually want moksha. They're quite happy with artha kama, maybe a bit of dharma for flavoring. Moksha, it comes when you have enjoyed this so much and then you realize it's still the same. It's like, they often give the analogy of a giant wheel or a Ferris wheel or something when you go to an amusement park. When you go there for the first time, Disneyland or some such place, and you see the gates are opening, everybody rushes. You take one ride, really enjoyed it, right? You take 5 rides, still happy. After the 50th ride, 80th ride, 100th ride, what do? If they even open it up free and say nobody is in the park, only you can go and ride, you'll say enough, I'm done. So when you get to that ride, then you say I want moksha. So some of us right now are in our first ride, so we don't talk to me about moksha. I still want to go into the amusement park and have a few more rides. But that's okay. Nobody is saying that everybody, but they figured some people, everybody eventually will get there. It is just the pace at which we get there. So we'll keep moksha aside for now. So now in this, and we saw what is security, the comfort and pleasure. So if you think about dharma and going back to what Rama is saying, and he's saying at one level, at its absolute meaning, dharma means the essential nature of any object. So just like we say sugar, the dharma of sugar is to be sweet. You might have white color, brown color, big granules, small pieces, everything. But the one thing without which you cannot call it sugar is sweetness. Okay? Another example often with fire. You can have it differently, but heat is the essential nature of fire. So in that sense, when you think about as a human being, what is that one thing without which I don't exist? Is it this body of mine? Is it my personality? Is it what I think? Is that what makes? So what is my dharma? That's one question, and that's a very deep question which often goes into who am I? But for now, practical purposes, which is again where Rama is coming from here, which is the second definition which Swami Tejomayanji was here. He did a talk on Dharma Shastra, where he talks about, he says, Dharma is almost, you can think of this like a universal constitution. Just like when I go to a country, I need to know the constitution of that country, so I know how to operate, what is followed, what is acceptable. So I can manage, just even in a company, right? Not everything is, you cannot take one, sometimes people move to a different company, they say, hey, you're not aligning with our culture, this is how we do things here. So what is that universal concept, not related to Indians, Chinese, men, women, children, nothing, doesn't matter, irrespective of religion, caste, anything. If you are born as a human being, what is that constitution? But that which also brings prosperity to all around, and it brings absolute good. Now this is often a very trade-off point, right? Because if I think about artha kama, today we don't have to look too broadly, you can just look around us and you think about what happens when we pursue artha and kama without the framework of dharma. Right? I will go and do what is right, I will make money, doesn't matter if hundreds of thousands of people around me are destroyed, or all kinds of things when you look at it. And that's why our rishis very clearly put artha and kama, because they knew nobody has to be told you have to seek artha and kama, that will come naturally. But they put artha and kama within the framework of dharma and moksha. Because without dharma, if you go and pursue artha and you pursue kama, then you may fulfill your desire, but what you will not get is the all-round prosperity and what is absolutely good. You might get short-term pleasure, but it will cause you long-term pain. Right? So now the question arises, we talk about dharma. Is dharma for everyone, like plants, animals? They don't sit down and have a discussion on dharma. Why is it that, so first of all, is there a dharma for them? or is it only for humans? If so, yes, or if not, why?
This is dharma for everyone.
Everything. Yeah.
Then why is it that they seem to be living in harmony perfectly? It's only us humans who need to come for Ramayana class and we have mental health problems and all of that.
Everybody I know who has got a sixth sense which we so-called think and creating problems for others.
Correct. Sixth sense or what? We call this the concept of the buddhi, right? Or the faculty of the intellect. Right? So there is dharma, and you can see they follow their dharma perfectly. A lion doesn't say, I'm now bored of eating other animals, I want pizza now, or I'm bored of pizza now, give me sushi. No. Lion is very happy eating the same thing for all generation after generation, and there is a certain nature law that governs all other beings. But the moment, and this is all evolution, right? We talk about Darwin's theory and all of that. In that same evolution, we have reached a stage. We've not reached the end state, but we are in one certain advanced state. And we as human beings have the faculty of intellect which gives us the power of choice. Now choice, is it a blessing, is it a curse, is very debatable. But with choice comes, you need a framework for how to make choices.
With choice comes a responsibility.
Correct, there comes a responsibility. And that's why dharma becomes important. Because like in this case, Rama there are millions of choices in front of him. His father also told him, put me in jail. That is better because at least that way I can see you, you are not away from me. Then you can also tell Kaikeyi, yes, my father did say yes, but I was the one who overruled it. He had all those options in front of him. And maybe even he could have taken a dharma angle and proven what is right. And we also saw how Kaikeyi used dharma to justify some of her adharmic things, to say, you have kept your word, and she gave this big lineage of what different rishis had done. So choices are there for all beings. But dharma comes into play to help us give a framework for what will ultimately give me absolute good. And because ultimately it's not just about this 50, 80, 100 years that we are living here. Right? This is one chapter in a big book. So my actions here are going to give me some result, maybe in 5 minutes or in 50 years. But they are also going to have an impact on my software, in some sense, which is what we say, we keep accumulating karma. And that decides my next life, whether I'm born as a worm or I'm born as a human, I'm born in a in a place where it is full of sense pleasures, or am I born in a family which is cultured and I get exposure to some of these teachings early on. So all that is determined by my actions to some extent. So dharma is needed for all, but others don't need a class on dharma. They are pretty much pre-programmed, and nature to some extent is taking care that it is just exhausting the karma. But for humans, we have the right to accumulate good, bad, whatever karma, and to also conquer or transcend it. So I just wanted to take a few minutes because as we said, Ramayana is very easy to say. Rama took the decision, he went to the forest, and all that is good. But when you go back now in this framework and see some of his points, you see, in this world, it is the ultimate goal, because Rama is saying, this world and this life that I am living, whether it is 100 years or 1000 years, it is only dharma that's going to come with me beyond my life. I can do everything, I can have 5 Teslas and 7 houses and jacuzzi and everything, but that's only, shelf life is only the 80, 100 years that I am living. It is only my dharma that will carry forward for my next chapter, therefore it becomes my ultimate goal of life. He's saying, artha, kama, all of that is there. But it's only when I observe dharma that I will get the other 3 purusharthas. So I can choose artha and kama, but it's only when I do it in the pursuit of dharma that I will get a lasting benefit of. And we see this with like something as simple as food. You overindulge and we see the result. You have it in moderation, we see the result. That is dharma applied in the context of this. And I'm saying, okay, I have a body, I have to take care. Absolutely, I have to enjoy. It is, spirituality is not saying don't enjoy, but enjoy within a certain framework, a guideline, right? And that's why institutions like a marriage and other things have come forward to say, yes, we all have certain needs, biological needs, physiological needs, psychological needs, but there are institutions, you fulfill them in the context of dharma, in the framework of dharma. And Guruji also says, dharma is the science of desire management, right? Because if I tell people don't have desires, you should have viveka and vairagya, tomorrow next class I can be sure nobody will come. Alright? So he said that is maybe there for maybe 0.5% or 1% of the population may be interested in that no desire route, but the vast majority of people are here saying, listen, I am a human, so please don't tell me no desire. Desire is there, and whether or even if I say I don't want to fulfill it, the moment I see laddu, I am going to have a desire. So I have got desire and I am going to fulfill desire, no two ways about it. Now you tell me, in this framework, do you have something that will still allow me to evolve? Don't tell me don't have desire. That bridge I am not ready to cross yet. Then Dharma Shastra comes into play to say, instead of more and more and more desire, how do we get you to higher and higher and higher desires? So I want wealth, I know I want money. For what? I don't want to even defend it. Money is important for me. Great. So you earn wealth in the framework of dharma, but now instead of it is just for me, through the institution of marriage, I'm saying this money is for my child, my family. Okay, now I've slightly gone, I've expanded my sphere of influence slightly beyond the I, me, myself, to now saying I would rather sacrifice my immediate holiday for my child's education. Okay, I've taken a step. You take it one more step, Temple Gopuram, very passionate about it. I've done something for that, it's helping a community. Country, famine, whatever I have now, so I'm earning, go ahead, earn millions, but now you try and put your needs as one aspect in a wider context. So there is no problem in earning the money, so long as you're doing it in the righteous way. If you want to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, be my guest, earn as much as you want to, but now that same wealth, it's how are you employing it so that it actually helps with your, not just giving you the 5 cars and the 7 houses, but it is contributing to your overall, to your punya quota there. So that's why he's saying, and therefore, when you do have a trade-off between the two, don't try to justify, don't let the end justify the means. Don't say, you know what, I really like laddu, and then find some dharmic excuse to say, it's from Balaji temple. How can I not have laddu? I have to have it. So be careful. You can have it, but try and follow what is right. Okay. Cool. So I thought we should take a few minutes on dharma. Any questions?
Can you just repeat that and that Guruji said? I just want that line. That was really nice. Dharma is some managing.
Dharma is the science of desire management.
Dharma is the science of desire.
Science of desire. So it is very scientific, and it helps us understand how we manage our desires. Because ultimately, in the Mahabharata, they give this example. They say desires being fulfilled is like fulfilling a desire is like pouring ghee in a fire. Right? The more you pour, it is only going to become, and we see it in our own experience. Guruji also gives this example of, you take these tissue boxes. Every time you take one tissue, the other one is ready to pop out. He says that's the same thing with desire. So he says there is no way you can ever say that I have fulfilled all my desires. That's not happening, full stop. Right? So the only thing you can do is either you get to a certain level of mental purity to say, I see the trick around me, this is all a game, and you get to that level of I am now beyond it. Or, for most of us, you say I have to live within the framework of desires. So how do I manage them so that at least I don't get too entangled in them, and so that I may get to a stage where hopefully I get enough purity that I can get out of it. So I want to now manage my desires in a way through the framework of dharma. Yeah. So the Dharma Shastra, this thing is on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. But it's just again, and that's then given in that sense, and that's why with things like Artha Shastra, even something like Kama Shastra is often or Kama Sutra, people say, oh God, this is. No, there is a lot of science in saying how do you satisfy certain desires. It is human, you are going to have certain desires. We will give you a dharmic way in which you fulfill it. Okay? Cool. Anything else on dharma before I pick one more point? Yes.
So, in this, how do you know that? So, even if within the same framework, Rama has been given a lot of dharmic reasons to go. But how did he select that this is the dharmic route that he has to take?
Correct. It's a fair point, and I don't think there is an easy answer because it's a very nuanced topic, and that is again one of the beauty of the Itihasa, because we will see now later Bharata, he will have to take decisions. So these are almost like case studies, right? When you go to B schools, very often Harvard, etc., they teach you through the medium of case studies because then you role play, you decide how different people have acted, and you get the concept better in our mind. I think all I can say is, first of all, from our perspective, recognizing and first of all, even putting that dharma as a framework in our decision making is a first step forward. Because 99% of our decisions are autopilot. Laddu, eat, finish, end of story, no dharma. So even at least bringing it to say, okay, I feel like I want to get a promotion or I want more money. Okay, fine, maybe there will be pause. What is the dharma angle to it? Right? And then decide. In case of Rama, as he said, right, he says, for me, and there are additional verses here, he says, for me it is my father, following the words of the elders. If my father, I don't want my father to be regarded as someone who's untrue. So for me, following the words of my elders is the absolute dharma. So there are lots of dharma here. Dharma towards his mother, all of those things are there. But as you said, he had to then prioritize not just between dharma, artha, kama, different levels of dharma. How do you prioritize? So we are all going through that, right? I'm a son. My parents are in India. Do I take that decision of going there? Do I take care, or do I? There are lots of dharma we have to manage, and which is also why later on in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says that ultimately then he says sarva dharman parityajya. That whatever dharma I take, I am leaving it in your hands because I'm never going to get it perfectly right. Right? We'll see later when Rama has to send Sita to the forest. That's like now my dharma as a king versus my dharma as a husband to a wife who's pregnant with 2 children. How do you follow dharma then? So when we say like Rama, he has really taken an extreme this thing to say, I will take on all these tough questions. Hopefully none of us will have to encounter such levels of trade-offs. If we can kind of manage between do I need a Tesla or can I manage in my old Ford, that's also better. But it is through these, and even in the Mahabharata we will see how dharma is applied. So I wish I could give you here is why, but his point was the word of the elders.
Sorry to extend it. So if Rama is following his father's orders, and why Bhishma, when he says that I wanted to renounce this throne for the sake of his own father, but later in the Mahabharata, Krishna says you shouldn't have. So how is that dharma change?
No, I have not. I've not read that second part of what you are saying in terms of Krishna saying you should not have. But once we finish Ramayana, we'll come to Mahabharata. Please put it in the part next year. Yeah, next year.
I think Krishna says he doesn't say anything about renouncing the throne. He says more about Draupadi, that you should have stopped her there, stopped Duryodhan there, and you didn't. That dharma was more important than following the dharma of
loyalty to Hastinapur.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But again,
that's the reason why he punishes him.
Yeah, that is a master stroke.
Okay.
But when he was discussing at the deathbed, one of the stances is that, but may not be right from the Vyasa's book, but
okay. I'm not. But we should
TV serials probably.
You should be very careful with TV serials because TV serials have their own dharma. That is TRP. What will get maximum, what will go viral, will go. They are following their dharma. Okay. So I think dharma is a complex topic, and I think it will come multiple times in Ramayana. But I thought it's just worth taking a few minutes, even if we go a bit slow on the story. There is another aspect now on destiny and free will, right? And this is something we all, and none of this happens when everything is going well for us. First of all, we don't need dharma, we don't need destiny. None of these discussions, when everything is going my way, all this is useless. You can say, yeah, thank you, Valmiki, great book, but we are all living. But when things start to go in a way that is not the way we want it to, then a lot of these questions arise. Right? Even Arjuna, he was with Krishna for 30, 40, 50 years. Not once did he feel like learning the Gita. It's only when he had a mental breakdown that he had to learn. So, at one stage, when Rama is again explaining to Lakshmana about what has happened, and he's trying to convince him, he uses some of these words. You can just read the meanings down. He says, "O son of Sumitra, which man will try to fight against the will of God? Okay, the only way out of this is to abide in it." Okay? This is words from Rama. Okay? And he also says, "Sukha dukkhe bhaya krodam labha labha bhava bhava yaccha kinchitata bhutam nanu daivasya karmatat." So all this happiness, misery, anger, loss, gain, they occur only by the will of God. and then finally again, whenever something stops, whatever stops something that has already begun, coming from nowhere, is certainly an act none other than the gods. And he says, don't blame Kaikeyi, because he says, if you look at the way these events have transpired in the last, not even 24 hours, in the course of a night, it cannot be, I cannot attribute any reason to it other than fate or destiny. Right? Now, if I didn't tell you these were said by Rama, what would our first impression be of somebody saying words like this? Don't fight against the will of God, abide by it. Right? How would we react? What kind of a person would we say that person is?
Loser or who doesn't.
Correct.
know.
Loser. What? Now, when Sita was taken, he did not say all these things. He said, "Oh, act of God." When he was trying to go to Lanka and the sea, the ocean was not cooperating, he also did 3 days tapas. He did not say, "Okay, not happening. Tough luck. We'll go back." No, he did not do that. So this is that same Rama. Again, you remember, Valmiki is not calling Rama here as a god. Valmiki is treating Rama like, that at the very start he asked this question, who has these 16 qualities? So it's given here as a human being. Now that Rama, how come he is saying words like this? Right? Because Lakshmana on the other hand is saying, nothing doing. Let's fight it. Right? So Rama is saying destiny, fate, everything. And Lakshmana is saying, no, we have to exercise our free will. You can't just accept whatever happens. This father has gone senile in his lust for this woman. He does not know what he's acting. Let us take over and let us, do what is needed. Right? So how do you? So this brings an important question again, not in terms of Rama's decision making, but how to respond to this. So there are 2 words that are often used in spirituality called prarabdha, which is often usually used as destiny, and purushartha, or which is our free will. Right? And there is a constant tussle of, is what happening to me prarabdha? And again, all this is only when things are not going well. When I'm winning the lottery, nobody thinks of prarabdha. It's all my free will. That's why I won. Okay? So it's important to understand this law of karma, which is something that he does not talk about it, but that's the principle that often underlies all. And this principle says a few things, which is, at its very simplest level, it is saying that anything that is happening is not random. If I'm born in a certain family, if I've got a tough boss, if I'm having health problem, if I'm having financial, all good things, none of this is random. If yesterday I was a rich man, tomorrow I become a pauper, so first of all, every reaction or effect has to have a cause. And that's what the second passage says, this concept of prarabdha and purushartha are not 2 different things. Because effectively, what I consider as today's prarabdha, let's take health. I've got health problems today. My today's problems, or prarabdha, in this case, my destiny, is nothing but the result of my purushartha of the past. Now that past could be 5 years ago, it could be 500 lifetimes ago. But if I have got health problems today, I don't have to go and blame anybody. I have got health problems. I have to take responsibility for my actions, first and foremost. Right? But it doesn't stop there. Right? It also says that whatever I am doing now is influencing my prarabdha of tomorrow. So my future destiny is obviously all the lifetimes of the past, whatever I've done, will have some impact, but I can to some extent alter it through my today's actions. And in fact, that's the only thing I can do. Because if I've been a horrible person in the past, I would like to go back, but there is no back to the future option available here. So I'm stuck here. So that account I'm anyway carrying. All I can do is try and slowly change that direction through my current actions. So this brings a very important point, because again, not properly understanding this has led India, for a lot of people saying, oh, sab kismat mein likha hai, this is all fate and what can we do? No. The law of karma is very clear that in your control is action, and therefore even in the Bhagavad Gita there is a very famous verse which says karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadach. Your right is only to act, but the 3rd and 4th line are often not as well popular, because they often stop. Because it makes you feel like you only work, don't have any desire for the result. That's not what it's saying. He's saying mate sangostva karmani, don't get attached to inaction. He says you have to act, because that's your only right. as a human being. So whatever cards you're given, you have to play that. You have to play the game while you're here. You cannot pack and go. Some card games you have the option of packing and saying, no, you don't have the option of. You have to play with those cards.
Okay.
But don't get attached to the result. But also don't get attached to inaction. Don't say, yeah, anyway, it's all destined. Why should I worry? Why should I bother? So that's the first principle here, right? So my future is nothing but my past actions modified in the present. So one of Rama's key point here is, if this has come, his point is, we can blame others, but what blaming is doing is it's only taking the focus off me into other people. I can blame it on Dasharatha, I can blame it on Kaikeyi, I can blame it on Manthara. Rama is saying nothing doing. Whatever has happened, whatever I am going through right now, whether I was given the coronation offer 6 hours back, or whether I have been given the forest offer 6 hours later, all of that is result of some past action. So there is first and foremost accept it, and then you decide how to deal with it. But don't stop there. You then exercise your choice now, because you have to realize that the way I react today is also an action. So if today I'm showing vengeance and anger, and even if I don't externally express it, that internal churn and noise is also, because from a karma perspective, it is not just externally. I could be sitting here and smiling at you, and I could have 100 bad thoughts about you. From a karma perspective, the clock is ticking. It's software, right? It is just noting. It's like deep learning models. It is capturing all of those things. So therefore, you have to be conscious even of your reaction, and therefore they often say respond, not react, because reaction is the job of animals. You act on instinct. Animals act on instinct, right? I see meat, I will go after it, because that's what animals will eat, and that's okay for them because they are already controlled by nature. Yes, Preeti, did you have a question?
But if you have anger, you can't really control that. I mean, control it, but you can't really stop having that anger.
Very true. That's a fair point. Nobody's saying, and the answer is not suppressing it, right? But the first step is to even recognize that I'm having anger. And often they say, take 5 deep breaths or count up to 10. Have you heard that sometimes? You say that when you're angry, before you say something harsh or do something, what do you say? First, let me take stock. And sometimes anger can be useful, right? It can be useful as a tool. So it's not about saying don't be angry. It's all it is saying is be watchful of how you respond to what happens to you. So if somebody has said something that is not good, that you didn't like, you may tell that person that, listen, I didn't like what you're saying, and I'm not either going to be a friend or I don't want to mingle with you. That's perfectly fine. But you take that action consciously. Don't just say, how can you say that? And then after, like, oh shit, I should not have said that. Yeah, that's very bad, I think I spoke too much in harsh. That is the privilege of animals. That you get something, you act immediately. But as human beings, what Rama is telling us is, we have this buddhi, intellect, that allows us to analyze. To say, okay, why am I getting angry? I'm getting angry maybe because I'm too attached to this object, or I don't like that person saying this. So I will act in a certain way. I will do what I do. Did that answer your question? Yeah. So, but this also makes the final point here, which is this point of, we are not helpless pawns in some game that somebody is playing to say, next move you're going to have a tough, say next 7 years, sorry sir, this ground. It may be there, and this is not to kind of say things like astrology are not useful. They're only telling you what you're going to go through. But it is not the fault of some Rahu or Ketu or somebody that you're going through. So you can put as much oil and ghee on them as you want to. But what you have to endure, you have to endure. Right? And sometimes in that endurance, you're clearing up your stock of whatever karma you had. So once we keep that, and it's obviously very easy to sit here and say, when you're going through it, it's not. I'm not suggesting that I've cracked it. But it's at least helpful for us to know, just check it out. It is at least helpful for us to keep this framework in mind, that when Rama was saying about free will, destiny, etc., the one point that he was making it very clear in this is no point in blaming anyone. So Lakshmana, no need to blame Dasharatha or Kaikeyi or anyone. What has happened, I have accepted. Second, this did not prevent him from doing his duty. That's important. Very often we may use all this and say, okay, now what can I do? It has happened. No, you still do what you have to do, because that is not your right, but that is your dharma as an individual. You have to do what you have to do. So in the framework of dharma, he said, okay, I will do what is needed to be done here. I will go to the forest. I will go. So anyway, we took a little longer on this, and this quote from Gurudev is very helpful, which is Prarabdha Purushartha is what you meet in life is destiny. How you meet it is your Purushartha. So to your example, somebody made me angry, some situation happened that made me angry, right? But how I respond to it is still in my control. And if I recognize that, then I could then decide which ones to respond to, which ones not to respond to, and how to respond. We are a little over time. We'll take any questions on this? Otherwise, we'll take 5 minutes and see if we can go a little bit ahead on the story as well. Any questions? Clear? Purushartha, Prarabdha. So, the three have left now they have not yet reached the forest because it's a long way from there. And the citizens of Ayodhya, many of them decide to follow them. So even Rama is actually effectively just walking now. Because they say no point in him being in the chariot, he is also walking. And they finally reach the banks of Tamasa river, which is the first point, and they realize it's already dusk, no point in continuing ahead. And the citizens are also tired, exhausted, and they all decide to take rest. So Sumatra takes the horses out and feeds them, and Rama's looking at all the people. Nobody's used to, everybody in that Josh they have come, but now reality check is coming in front of them, and he says we'll all rest. So while everybody is sleeping, Rama wakes up earlier, much earlier in the day, and he looks at all these people still tired and sleepy, and he tells Lakshmana and Sita, we should not wait here because in their emotion they will still want to come ahead with us. So he then tells Sumitra, you do one thing, you take the chariot and go north towards Ayodhya. They will see the chariot tracks and they will think that you have gone, that we have all gone there, and they will follow that. We will cross the boat and cross the river and we will continue ahead. You come later on, but make sure there are no chariot tracks. So just cover your tracks and come. Sumatra does that, and he goes a certain distance and just to leave enough so that the people can follow, and then he finally meets them back there. From there on, they continue ahead. They see several rivers as they are passing through because they have to finally reach the forest. They finally reach the end of Ayodhya, and at that stage, again, Sita, Rama, they both pray to Mother Ganges. They pray to the gods that are protecting Ayodhya to say, we hope we complete this in 14 years, and we come back. As they proceed from there, they reach this place called Shringiberapura, which is the abode of Guha, one of the tribal chieftains. It's also under Dasharatha's realm, but it's almost like, think of it as that part he is covering on behalf of Dasharatha. So Guha had already heard about this, and Guha saying, if I can be of any service, he brings a lot of fruits, etc. He says, how can we offer that? Rama says, Rama is quite orthodox. He said, I've already decided I'm going to be, in exile, so I'm not supposed to take any hospitality. But you offer it to the horses, make sure they are taken care of. That's the second night of their exile. Rama and Sita are sleeping on a bed of leaves. Lakshmana is keeping vigil. Guha is also there. And next day they tell Guha, get us a boat or a raft so we can cross over the Ganges on the other side. In this there is a small incident, it's not in Valmiki Ramayana, but it comes in Tulsidas Ramayana. As when the boatman comes and they are about to board, this boatman says, I've got one request. Rama, I want to wash your feet. Guha is like, this is not Paduka Puja time. Right? They are all in a rush, they are trying to leave and you are sitting here trying to do. He says, no, please, I have a request. And he is very insistent. So Guha is almost kind of thinking, what's going on? And he says, actually, I'll tell you why. He said, I heard some story that you put your foot on a stone and that became a woman. This boat is my only livelihood. If this becomes a woman, I already have a wife, I can't have one more, and my livelihood will go. So I want to make sure that if you really have those magical powers, then I have to check it before we do them. Anyway, Rama offers, as I said, this is not in Valmiki Ramayana, but it's a very interesting anecdote of how bhakti comes to play. He does that Paduka Puja, he actually keeps his feet on the boat when Rama is doing it, and they say through that, again, because Tulsi Ramayana is all about bhakti. So you see many such simple instances of devotees who are not learned, they don't sit up and talk about dharma, artha and all that. Very simple, learned, surrender, those kind of feelings. And Rama, Sita, Lakshmana.